Week 11. Hard to believe we only have 4 more classes after this. Crazy. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for hanging in there with me this week. It's been a little bit of a crazy week. We already had things kind of rearranged because of the play, which, of course, we've got Spirit t-shirts going on right here. The Spirit Day at their school, and since we're homeschool, we're like having our own Spirit Day. So we have our t-shirts on. I should actually show you guys a picture just for fun. But while I'm getting that, I wanted to thank you guys. You are so helpful to me. I just appreciated your prayers. The way you guys were so just helpful was amazing. Hang on just a second. Okay, I had to show you this picture. Um, I had so many people email like different ways of support and stuff. My dad had been in the hospital and they weren't sure what was going on with him. And it was just really, really cool that you guys were there. And I just read through your emails that you sent back, just saying you were praying and whatever. And it was just such an amazing thing. My mom and my sister were there. My dad, they were just so touched by your kindness and the way you guys are supportive. He's doing well. He's actually now got the flu on top of everything else. So we're just praying for healing for him. It was not a heart problem. It was actually his esophagus was spasming, which, in anatomy, your esophagus and your stomach meet like right behind your heart. And so the spasms were actually giving him this idea that it was like a heart attack, same type of pain, same sharp pain. So anyway, they are going to do a lot more testing with him and see if they can come to the end of this. But yeah, this is a picture. Yeah, I'm a little tired. We've had rehearsals every night. This is my son, Jaron. And I think Jaron, is he in class today? He's not here. David, I think, is here. There's David. Say hi, David. These guys are in the play with me. Actually, I'm not in the play. I'm in the orchestra. And my son David here is running sound, and my son Jaron is playing 2 roles in the production. And we're homeschoolers, but this school is Christian school. They open it up to homeschoolers to be a part of the production. So we get to have our own little spirit day going on. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you for understanding and making it so that this week wasn't so crazy for me. I appreciate you guys understanding. And all of your submissions with meals and your home maintenance project and stuff, I got the pictures all up until Wednesday morning. And so if you've handed in after that, those will go on the next showcase that we do. So just so you know, if you handed it in and you didn't get it on today's showcase, that's why. It's because I didn't get to look at anything else since Wednesday. Wednesday was my crazy day. So, okay, we'll take some prayer requests before we get started here. And let's see. There we go. I wonder if this was, oh my goodness, I think this is this from last year? Okay, I'm just curious because I think I used slides from last year. Well, it looks like there's still some prayer requests up here. Do you guys see those? That's kind of bizarre. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, we might get some prayer requests from last year. This week I've just been doing whatever it takes to get the week through, and so we're using last year's slides. So there might be some interesting things we'll find along the way. Okay, that was so cool to hear you got a job. Who was that? Esther? I think were you the one that was saying you got a job yesterday, or Emily? Emily, that's right. Okay. Wow, how exciting. Getting a job is exciting. Scott, I'm with you. I hope today will be a great day. Today is our first production of the play, so we're all kind of excited, getting ready. All this work, they've been doing these practices since January, so it's kind of nice to finally get to the end of it. Oh, I heard about that bridge in Atlanta. Oh my goodness. The bridge that collapsed and all the highways were shut down. That's a big deal. That is a huge deal. And I think there was even some rioting or something going on too. The play it's Andrew Lloyd Webber. He's the guy, most people know him for writing Phantom of the Opera, but he he also wrote Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, which is basically a production of the story of Joseph from the Bible. And it's a little bit corny. They put some cheesy stuff in it, but it's pretty good. We've got the Christian School version going on, so yeah, that's what I heard, Mary Grace. Yeah. Now some of you guys are, how close are you there then, Mary Grace? Are you guys near Atlanta? Oh my goodness. Wow, Emily. You're about an hour away. Okay. Oh my goodness. So that would be pretty freaky stuff. Okay. And you're 30 minutes to an hour? Okay. Wow. And you might even know some friends and whatever that are close that direction. That's hard. It changes everything. You know, those big highways carry everything. And not only that, but you know, there's the people that are hurt or wounded, you know, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So definitely we need to pray for that. Big Spanish test tomorrow. I hear ya. Wonder if you're in the same Spanish class as my son. Cousin with leukemia. Oh my goodness. Oh, Allie, I'm so sorry. Okay, definitely praying, Allie, for sure. Yeah, okay, that's what I had heard too, Mary Grace. Wow. I was hoping that no one was hurt through that, but still, it's still scary. All right, let's go ahead and lift all of this in prayer. Yeah, I haven't watched the videos yet, but I should watch that. Excuse me. Father, we just lift all of this to you. And Lord, you see the needs. You see the ones that aren't even spoken yet. And we just ask that you would just minister to those who are going through a lot. Lord, we lift up those who are affected by this casualty with the bridge. We just pray, God, that you will be with those who are affected directly, and Lord, especially with work-related things and the traveling, the commuting, and all the backup of traffic, all the stuff that's kind of just jolted. And whatever was going on with the rioting that I had heard of, I just pray, Lord, that you would bring peace to the whole situation. And Lord, I also ask that you would just be with those who are dealing with stress in all kinds of different areas, in school, the stuff that just wears on us. Lord, I pray that you would just give us some peace. And Lord, also for my dad, I pray, God, that you would just be with him. And I just thank you for this class and how supportive they were and able to help us just get through it a little easier and being so graceful. And we pray, Lord, that your blessing would be on each one. Be with those who are not able to come to class today. And just let your spirit be with them and help us to just enjoy the content today and just enjoy our time together. Okay, let's go on. All right, Family Meal Showcase. Here it is, you guys. It's so much fun. This is the best. Okay, you can adjust your volume because you know it can be loud to do our little jingle. Let me bring this up just a tad. You guys are awesome. Well, there we go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, Julia says. There you go. All right. Mary Grace made sushi. What the what? Can you believe that? Is that amazing or what? Sushi? Ah! And Annabelle, you like got my food right there. That is like my favorite. Mexican is like my absolute favorite. Oh my goodness. Yumma yumma. My throat's being silly today. Sorry, guys. Caleb, you went all out. See, what I noticed this time with you guys was the arrangement. Like people had flowers or they like arranged things. They made pictures that were so pretty. I'm like, what on earth? Look at these guys. Amazing. And Saida always has some really cool, interesting things that she shares. I would love to learn some of their culture's food because that yummy Mediterranean, Middle Eastern type food is so good for you and so yummy tasting. Allie, of course. Allie, you get the award for kale because you like include kale like all the time, and I'm like, man, she's got it going. Kale's so good for you. Excuse me, Simeon, I like your soup. This is the kind of soup that my hubby would eat because it's not just broth. He's always like it. He likes it to be substance, something in it. And that is the yummy looking soup. Very good. You found the cup. That's great. Allie's cups. I love it. Bowie, he made venison and popcorn. This popcorn he made had maple syrup on it. Can you imagine how tasty that would be? Maple syrup type sweet kind of popcorn, yummy stuff. And Adam, he went all out with this amazing fish dinner and couscous. He's got the fancy thing going. He could totally be a chef. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Michaela, yum. And Capri, I always know you're watching the recording, so this is just really cool that we get to see you. I know it's over the recording, but I always like seeing your stuff when you pop it up here. And Reagan made soup. Hey, it's good stuff. It's good for you. This is that time of year when it's drizzly and rainy and cold. Okay, Ellie, apple pie. Enough said, right? Yum. And Hannah, this cracked me up. She was like describing her meal, and then she's like, that sauce was like the best, if I do say so myself. I thought that was really cool. She was this is Alfredo yumminess. Way to go, guys. Good job. Brayden, hello. He's not even in here, but man, you can make kebabs at my house anytime you want. That's a huge favorite. And Emily, yummy stuff. She went all out too. You guys are just doing great jobs on your food. Bliss, this looked delicious. I always look for Bliss's stuff. She's got like gluten-free stuff all the time. So I'm curious about her cookies if they were gluten-free. And Elizabeth, yeah. She's like, okay, now I'm going to take pictures of my food so people can know I take good pictures. Holy cow, doesn't that look like it belongs in a cookbook or something? I know. Awesome. Simeon, you'll have to tell her. Tell her we're loving her pictures. I know. Amazing. Okay, so now let's go into our home maintenance stuff. Here we go. There you go. Welcome to the 80s. Be nice. All right, here's Capri. She's the organizer and drain cleaning specialist. And if you need one, if you're in China and you need some help with this, you can call Capri. She's got it down. She like organized everything, cleaned it out, took care of the drains. Way to go, Capri. Good job. Michaela, okay, Michaela, this was pretty awesome. They're building right now, and so she put in just some things that they've been actually working on, not just home maintenance, but home building. So this sort of takes it to a whole nother level. She said it was a sound wall that they were building, and so they had to actually fit the pipes through. Yeah, the thumbs up, isn't that great? And this, I guess she said this was a very hard project over here. Now, I'm trying to think exactly what it was, but I think this was the heating elements that they put in the floor. Tell me if I'm right. But that does look like a heavy-duty project. Way to go. Radiant heating. Okay, thank you. Because I'm not familiar with that. We just shiver in our house, so to heat the floor. I love the idea of that, especially in a basement. That just would make so much difference, wouldn't it? Amazing. So way to go, Michaela. Awesome. Libby, she's the lighting specialist. Okay, so it looks like she's just changing a light bulb, but here this girl changed every light bulb to these the low wattage where it's going to be an energy saving light in her house. So she went through and changed everything, which is pretty amazing. Way to go, Libby. Yeah, you got the floor heat. Cool, Bowie. That's kind of fun. I would love that. I would just be like cuddled up on the floor. So way to go, Libby. That's going to save money in the long run. Light bulbs are going to actually, those low wattage are going to change the whole your whole lighting bill, your electric bill. So way to go. Good deal. Sarah, okay, Sarah's not in here. I would embarrass her to death by showing her this, but she wrote up this amazing write-up for what she did for a project. You hand your project in, you're supposed to write a paragraph of what you did. Okay, so I have to read this to you. So this is so adorable. Okay, for my home project, I scrubbed the cabinets in my kitchen, which were dotted with dirty spots. Gathering together my simple supplies of water, soap, a basin, and a dish rag, I glanced up at the staring cabinets. I rolled up my sleeves. I prepared to attack. I attacked. Scrubbing frantically, the unwanted spots and stains disappeared beneath my dish rag. Finishing the first cabinet, I peeked at the rest of its friends. Shaken visibly by the force of my frightful attack, its friends, the other cabinets, glowered in gloomy silence. I attacked again. The spots disappeared. I was so victorious. As I triumphantly exited the kitchen to put away my loyal weapons, I began to realize how many of those dirty spots I had made. Oops! If only I had been more careful, there would be less for the cabinets to cry about. Thankfully, the cabinets once again became cheerful the next day and generously decided to continue to hold our dishes inside them. In conclusion, my home project was a stunning defeat to the cabinets. Is that not amazing? Like, what teacher would not enjoy reading that? Sarah, you're awesome. You rock. So creative. Okay, Emily, she did all these miscellaneous jobs. Way to go. And this stump almost did her in, but she got it. There's a stump that was trying to wrap its way into the fence, so she had to dig the roots out and go for it. So way to go, Emily. Yeah, oh my, 3-foot long stump? No thanks. Wow, that would be crazy. But she got the furnace filter and cleaned out the drains. Awesome job. Way to go. And I'm sure mom and dad are happy about that one. And Ashlyn, Aylin, she's not here right now. In fact, I heard that they went trooping around at the French Quarter today, skipping school, but nobody tell. She got to learn all about fertilizing the lawn. She said she didn't get a picture of her actually doing it because she and her dad were too busy working, but there they are at the store getting their fertilizer, and she learned all about how to apply it to the lawn, how to take care of the lawn, and what to do. So that can be amazing, especially when you're in the South and you have to do those things to take care of your lawn. Otherwise, you will end up with brown stubble for your yard. So this was really good, Ashlyn. Way to go. That's right. On the recording. Zach, okay, how many of you guys were in class last week and heard Zach's creepy light story? This is so funny because the whole time he's like telling us about this light that was just giving him trouble. Well, this was what he did to take on for his home maintenance project. They found they did this detective work and found what was causing the problem, and they were able to keep it from being a fire hazard. So way to go, Zach. I know he's not in here either, but how cool is that? He just kept, the whole time we're learning about electricity, he just kept asking about, okay, so we've got this light that's doing this weird thing, and he was describe it. Actually, if you see the chat in the last recording, it's just kind of hilarious the way he was going back and forth. And he emailed me later, and he was like, we still need some help with this. So he was able to get to the bottom of it. Way to go, Zach. And Hannah, here she is. She's the air filter inspector. She went for it. And this is wild because their filters, like up in the ceiling there, it looks like in their hallway maybe. So you have to get up on a ladder and change that. So that's a big deal. And that can be, yeah, I'm imagining. Now this is, I don't know if your furnace is the kind where you have like a cold air return that has to go through that when it goes back into the furnace, or for you guys, probably not a furnace so much as the air conditioner. So yeah, that's pretty wild. A lot of times the furnace filter might be in the basement or whatever, but if you're in the southern states in Louisiana, you're going to have something for your air conditioning. It's the same problem on the other temperature extreme. So way to go, Hannah. That's awesome. All right, is that the end? Okay, it looks like that's the end. That's the end of the family meal showcase and the home maintenance project jingle or health showcase. Whoops, I read the jingle. So give yourselves a hand. Good job, you guys. And we'll keep cruising into today's topic. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit this week and next week about car maintenance. Okay, so one of these things that you guys are getting ready to, if you haven't already, is driving a car. And with that comes the responsibility of taking care of the car. How many of you guys are driving? Tell me if you're driving. Me. Libby, Hannah, Allie, good job, Allie. Jaren, Sierra, you drive some, okay. Julia, that's funny. Jen is, okay. David, permit in 5 months. Okay, Mary Grace, ready or not, here it comes. Okay. Yep, go right ahead and laugh. Road test in 2 weeks. Okay, cool. Get your temps. Do tractors count? Of course. No, they don't count because you're not on the road. You got your permit, Bowie? Okay, good. Golf course. Well, you still have to use some precaution for sure, but cool. All right, Sierra's got her permit. It is terrifying at first, okay? Driving can be scary, but driving is also, it's a really cool thing that you get this privilege to. You actually have some power behind it, so you have to just, yeah, you're on the road with a tractor. That's true, and even four-wheelers. So you have to know the rules of the road. But yeah, that can count. But at the same time, the maintenance of a vehicle, usually you go to driver's ed and they tell you about how to drive. They teach you what is what. They teach you the signs and what they mean. They teach you the laws and all the stuff, the procedures of what you're supposed to do with driving. But they don't really tell you about how to take care of your car. That's kind of up to you. You're the one who gets to take care of your car. So knowing that, first of all, being able to operate a vehicle is a privilege, that is something that you need to respect and know that, okay, with that privilege comes a little bit of responsibility, okay? And that also makes for a safer environment on the road, too. That's funny, Julia. Oh, my goodness. Emily, hang in there. Hopefully he will be a good driver. Oh my goodness, Mary Grace. I hear you. My sister had gotten in a lot of accidents too. It was very scary several times, but yeah, yikes. Usually, Simeon, not always, but usually. You would hope anyway. Okay, so basic car maintenance, you need to know your car. Just get familiar with your car that you're driving. So if you don't already know how to drive your car, maybe make sure that you do know, make sure that you're learning about it, especially those of you who are getting ready to get your permit or you're looking for a couple years maybe before you get your license. Just get familiar with it now. It's okay to do that. Know if your car is a manual or automatic transmission. That's going to change the way you drive. It's a whole different procedure to operate. Know if it's diesel or gasoline. You don't want to put diesel fuel in a car that takes gasoline. You would ruin it. So make sure that you know those things. Does it have four-wheel drive? Can you drive it in the snowy conditions and it works, or mud or whatever? The model and make, you should know what that is. And the model and make is basically what is who made the car, is it a Chevy, a Ford, a Jeep, or whatever, and then what year is it or what make is it? So you want to know what it's called. Like our Dodge, that we have a Dodge van, and it's called a Caravan, and so that's the model and the make, and then we know what year it is. It's like 2010, I think, is the year on it. So then you know that information, and it actually helps you, for various things when you're ordering parts, or if you need to get fuel, oil, and you don't know what kind to get, they can look it up really fast because you know what the model and make is. Read your owner's manual. That's a great thing to do. I know it's boring and it sounds ridiculous, but pull it out and just look it over. It's good to just know that stuff. Know what needs routine maintenance. This information is vital to the operator's safety and for those who are riding. And that's something that you can't emphasize enough, that in the responsibility of driving, it's not just your own life. It is other people that are around you that you're taking places, and it's also those other people on the road. And every day I'm faced with that. I go on this highway, we've been going to play practice, and every day I go on this highway and these big semis are coming, like, we're crossing each other, and it's just coming at you, and I think I am putting so much trust in that truck driver to not go left of center and do a head-on collision. You putting all your trust in another driver, and so it requires everybody to do their part. Julia, that would mess me up. Driving on the other side of the road, that would just drive me crazy. Mary Grace, that's funny. Oh, David, oh my goodness. Okay, so how well do you know your car? Tell me if you know the answers to this. Just type them in. Is your car manual or automatic transmission? And just pick one that you have. If you have several cars in your family, maybe you don't drive at all. If you don't drive at all, then maybe pick like your grandpa's car or something like that. Okay, so some of you guys know automatic. Ellie's got a manual transmission. Changing gears. Bowie too. Okay. CVT, help me out with that. Go ahead and tell us what that means. Oh, Ellie, you've got automatic. Okay. There you go. Julia's got the whole lineup. What about gasoline, diesel or gasoline? All right. Good. That's something really good to know. Usually trucks can have diesel or gasoline. Sometimes the Volvo cars are diesel, so you just got to know. Jaron, which one do you drive that's diesel? The 4430, which is the tractor. All right. Does your vehicle have four-wheel drive? Okay. Don't have a car, so all your answers are for your brother. Good deal. Or, just whoever is the car owner close to you. And the model and make, see, you can put their model and make in there. No problem, Eliana. This is life. At least your parents' car. There you go. Dodge Grand Caravan, Honda Odyssey, Ram 2500. What's a four-wheel drive? Four-wheel drive is when all four wheels are moving. Instead of the back or the front, you've got all four. And it can power the whole vehicle. It makes it easier to get through things like snowy conditions or mud, that kind of thing. We'll talk about wheels in a little bit. Actually, next week we're going to talk about changing a flat tire and all that goes on with that too. Very good, you guys. You guys know. Sweetness. Awesome. Yeah, cars are normally two-wheel drive. Sometimes your SUVs will be four-wheel drive, or maybe even smaller than an SUV, but okay, good deal. I understand trading cars, unless they're good cars. Okay, know your dashboard. How many of you guys are familiar with your dashboard? Like, you know what's going on up there. Probably those of you who have your driver's license and are actively driving. So this is like this basic automobile dashboard. Every car is going to be different. In fact, we have a van and a Suburban, and every time I get in one or the other, I have to kind of remember again, okay, on this car, the cruise control's over here, and on the other car, it's on this side, and you just have to remember where your functions are. Otherwise, you get on the road and you're fumbling around, and that's dangerous. You don't want to fumble while you're driving. Understand each part's functions, and you can see what each part is here. You've got your visors and your rear view mirror. The instrument panel is going to tell you all the activity of what's going on, your temperature gauges and your fuel levels, your speed, all of that. Windshield wiper controls are usually on the side, sometimes on the panel here, sometimes they're actually on this lever. Turn signal lever can be multiple things. Your steering column is there. Of course, the wheel is not on this picture, but the steering column is directly behind the steering wheel. Brake pedal, accelerator pedal, and know the difference between the two, or you'll have a lot of unwanted crashes going on. You've got heat controls, radio controls, a lot of those things going on. Cigarette lighter, you don't really see those as much anymore. Sometimes they have those, but usually when we use a cigarette lighter, it's to plug in, like our charge cables and stuff. Your vents are going to be located several places. Glove compartment usually. So this is basic. It's not like exact to yours, but it's going to give you the basic idea. All right. Okay. So what do all of these lights mean when they come on? This is an important thing to understand what they are, because some people might not know that this little light right here, this is check the engine. If that comes on, you actually should be checking the engine. If it comes on, you don't know what it is, then it could just, you could just think you're fine. Well, if you blow the engine because you didn't check your oil or didn't take care of your engine when it needed it, you're going to be in trouble. So it's always best to pay attention to these lights. All the gauges and the meters give current information. So it's usually telling you what the temperature is right now. It's telling you what your fuel level is right now, what mileage you have right now. So all of those are up to date, and they tell you, in the moment, what it is. It's current information. So you want to watch closely for anything that's an abrupt change. So if you're, say this gauge over here for your temperature, that little lever, say that's been in the middle, and then all of a sudden you notice it's way up here on the H. That's something to take into mind, because that could be something like you're overheating and you could end up having problems. So you want to keep in mind that all of these gauges and meters are really important for looking and seeing what is actually happening. Looking at your chat here. List of items in your car, there's a gear shift and a stick shift. Okay, doesn't know which is either. Okay, the stick shift that's for a manual transmission when you use a stick shift. Let's see. Sometimes, yes, Emily, that's true. Sometimes your thing will actually like flash at you. Check engine, those kind of things. Sometimes it's nice when you've got something that gives you an alarm or gives you a ding or something to get your attention. David, that's kind of funny. All right, be aware of warning lights and their meanings and any alarms or dings. Sometimes when we're driving, you'll hear the ding and then the light will come on that your gas level's low. And a lot of them have that feature where it comes on and gives you several miles before you run out of gas completely. It's not, just this warning, okay, now you're done. It's actually, you got like 30 more miles you can drive before this tank is empty. So you can know that in your owner's manual. It'll tell you when that light will go on to give you an indication of how much time you have until you go completely empty. Let's see, Mary Grace. Oh, which is the difference? Okay, the gear shift, let's go back to that one picture here. Your gear shift, on a automatic transmission is going to be this little lever right here. It almost looks like it says windshield wiper controls, and I don't know, this particular panel isn't necessarily the same as everyone, but a lot of times on a manual transmission, you will have an extra pedal that will be for your for putting the vehicle in neutral. And that's called the clutch. And when you press that in, it puts the vehicle in a neutral position where it's not driving and it's not in reverse and it's not in any kind of gear. It's just neutral. It's just sitting idle and it's not going to go anywhere. So you push that clutch in when you're changing gears, and you have to do it manually, which is why they call it a manual transmission. But when it's an automatic transmission, what you do is you change only by moving the one little shift, that gear shift, to from park to reverse or to first gear. Sometimes you have the option to go to second gear with an automatic transmission, but normally you've got it's just a reverse, park, and neutral and drive. Okay, and that's because it's automatically doing it for you in the vehicle. The transmission's doing all that change for you. For a manual transmission, you have to tell it what to do, and you have to feel when it's getting ready to change into the next gear. And so you are the one that changes it. Does that make sense? Yes, yeah. And you have, it can look similar because some cars have that gear shift in the middle and like between the seats, and it can look very similar to a manual transmission. So it can look the same, but you just have to know what the difference is. Also on a manual transmission, let me get my drawing tools out a little bit here. This is going to be a little bit pathetic drawing, but it's going to look a little bit more like this. You've got the shaft will come out of this line. There's like a hole right there, and you'll have these lines that kind of go out here. And basically you've got like park will be up at the top, and you'll have, you know, maybe first gear over here, second gear over here, third gear over here, and then reverse over here. Okay, so when you are actually in that spot of your shaft is moving, oops, I want to get my pointer on, hang on, there we go. When you're moving it from park, you push the clutch in, and then you move the shaft to like reverse. Say you want to go backwards, go into reverse, then you'll gently lift the clutch and it will go into reverse. Then you hit the clutch again, and then you put it in first gear, and you have to have it completely in that spot to get it to go. And then you gently lift off the clutch, and then you'll go into first gear, and then you'll hear the engine get to this point where it's like, and then it's ready to switch. So you hit the clutch again, and you'll go into second gear, and then you'll keep going. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that's like actually on a manual transmission. Okay, that's what that middle console will look like. If anybody's seen this, anybody seen that before, where you've seen a manual transmission that looks? Okay, good. I'm glad that makes more sense. Yeah, that's what the gear shift is all about. Very good. Michaela, that's funny. All right, and so you have a 5-speed. Yeah, this is sort of generic. Usually there's 4 or 5 different speeds on a car. All right, very good. Good deal. So that part is what you're bypassing with an automatic transmission. All you have to do is just put it in park, reverse, and drive, and that makes it a lot easier. Okay, jumper cables. Have any of you ever had a battery go dead? It's an experience you don't usually forget. Okay, several times. Some of you are pros at this. Okay, if it's dead, then it can usually be jumped with another battery. Okay, so you can get real friendly with a person next to you and say, hey, could you pull up close and let me jump? And what you do is you keep a set of these jumper cables in your car, in your trunk or whatever. But this is one of those things that you just, if you're prepared, it saves you a lot of hassle. If you don't have jumper cables, then you're ending up kind of waiting around for somebody to come help you. It's a pain. And usually it's something that can be done rather quickly, and you can just be on your way again. So the way you hook up the cable to each car, you've got, say this is the car that has gone dead, and you want to charge it up with this car that came along. Let's look at how that sets up. You've got the person who, okay, so this person is the dead battery over here on this side. And then this person who has the power, they actually are turned on. Their cars are parked either nose to nose, or sometimes the battery's on one side, and so you have to, and if your jumper cables aren't super long, you have to park in a way that those batteries are going to be rather close to each other. You're always going to put the positive charge on the red, okay? And you kind of look, sometimes they're gross looking, they're a little bit dirty, so you kind of, it'd be good to have some paper towels handy or whatever. You can kind of wipe it clean, and you can see where the positive charge is. And you have to be able to know which one is the positive, because you're going to hook positive to positive. And before you hook the positive to positive, charge up your positive and your negative on the right places. So black is on negative, red is on positive. Turn this vehicle on, the boost battery. You want to turn that vehicle on, and then hook this up, the positive end, to the dead battery. And the black, which is negative, some people put it on the negative spot, but you shouldn't. You should put it right on that engine block or some other piece of metal that's just kind of sitting on the side. You don't have to hook that to the battery, okay? but that's always going to be the black. The negative is the black. And then connect that, the last one, number 4, you're going to connect that last. So then after you're all hooked up, then the dead battery car is going to try. And sometimes it takes a little bit for that juice to get to the battery, and so you might want to give it a chance. Some people even kind of rev their engine a little bit on the boost battery side. They'll sit there with it turned on and revving their engine, just getting that power flow going. And then this dead battery person can turn it, and usually it'll turn right over if it's just a dead battery that's the problem. And then from that point, you want to very carefully, you don't want to go touching metal parts like right in here. You want to touch the plastic that's insulated. You want to touch that part and unplug it from this battery right here. Once it's going, you want to keep it running while you pull that off. Otherwise, you could end up with another problem again. But pull that off, pull number 4 off, and then you don't have any more power. What you don't want to do is end up having these 2 ends touch each other while they're connected to the battery, because they'll spark, okay? So keep them apart from each other, and then you can pull all of it off and store it away again. All right. Oh my goodness, Julia went dead in the middle of the driveway. Or the intersection. Whew. Oh my, Simeon, that would be kind of funny. Yeah, you get to learn about jump starting. That's always the side benefit, right? Yes, Emily, that's true. The black is supposed to be to the ground. And you can, if you put it on like the engine block or something else that's not connected to the battery, then it's actually going to keep it from having any kind of sparks and stuff. Oh dear. What blew up? His battery blew up? Yikes. Wow. Yeah, that's no good. Okay, also in your vehicle, you've got to check fluids. There's lots of different places for fluid, and sometimes we only think of maybe the engine oil or maybe something else. For me, it's like I'm always thinking about washer fluid because you're using it more often. When you've got a dirty windshield, you got to use your washer fluid. Well, there's all these other fluids that are needing to be replenished occasionally, so you got to keep checking those. And you've got engine oil, brake fluid, transmission oil, coolant, power steering fluid, and washer fluid. These are all different fluids that you need to make sure you have. Coolant is another name for antifreeze. So those who are familiar with antifreeze. Antifreeze is like in the wintertime, it keeps things from freezing up because when ice expands, or when it freezes, it expands, and that way it can cause some breaking. So you use antifreeze instead of water for your coolant. Okay, this is a picture of all the different fluids that you need to kind of keep an eye on throughout underneath your hood when you're keeping track of your fluid levels. Let's see. Seat heat fluid, what on earth? Okay, yeah. And it's funny because you don't always think about those little things, but those little things end up being big things. That's right, Simeon. Very good. You want the water to keep flowing. Exactly. So you've got an anti-lock brake fluid reservoir, and this is going to be different on every vehicle, but usually what you have is the ability to check the fluid levels from under your hood, and that way you don't have to crawl underneath your vehicle to check the fluid. You can just lift up the hood, check your fluid, make sure everything's okay. The oil dipstick, the engine oil dipstick here, that when you pull it out, we're going to talk about that. You wipe it off and check it again. That's the next section of our class here today. And then the engine oil fill cap is usually in a different location than the dipstick, even though they're both leading to the engine oil. The engine oil fill cap is where you take that off and actually add the oil. Brake fluid, washer fluid, power steering fluid, transmission fluid. This is going to be the dipstick where you check it, and they call it a dipstick, but it's just for dipping in. It's a stick that dips way down in and checks the level, and then you can see how it is without even having to look at it. You can just tell from the dipstick. And then the coolant or the antifreeze reservoir. Okay, let's go ahead and take our break, and when we're done, we'll do the checking the oil section. All right. Okay. Alrighty, back at it. Changing or checking the oil. We're going to start with checking the oil, and then we'll talk about changing the oil. So checking the oil is part of your homework. All right, so I know some of you are going to be like, what is this? And some of you may not have access to a car, and if you do not have access to a car, I can help you with this assignment. In fact, I might just meet you in the classroom and do it with my vehicle with you if you need help with that. Otherwise, if you have a vehicle, if your parents have a vehicle and you're driving, then you're going to do this exact thing on their car. Okay, so pay attention. My video is black. Is it black? Can you guys see me? Okay. All right, Julia, tell me if it works again. Something must be up with maybe your computer. I don't know. You can go out and back in and see if that helps. You never know. Okay, sounds good. All right, so what you're going to do for checking the oil is you wait until your car has cooled off. So say you drove to the gas station and you just need to let it sit resting for just a few minutes. Let it cool off a little bit so that you can check it without any problems. Then you're going to remove the dipstick from the engine, and you have to find that dipstick. It usually looks a lot like this. You have to find that dipstick. If you can't locate it, then get out the owner's manual because it will show it labeled on the owner's manual. Then you want to pull it out, and it's a pretty long stick. You know, I don't know. How long would it be about, David? Probably 2 feet long or at least. And it's kind of wobbly, you know, and so be careful because that whatever's on that stick can get on you. So be careful not to get it on you or just wear old clothes. Okay. And get a paper towel. Usually at the gas station they have them handy. You can pull your own out there too. Okay, good deal. Glad you're back. Then wipe off that dipstick with the paper towel. You want to completely clean it off because you're not going to get an accurate reading from what you just pulled out. It's just all sloshed around in there, and so you're not going to get a good reading. So clean it completely off, wipe it down, and then put it right back in the engine where it belongs with the oil, so it'll tell you an accurate reading. Then after you've put it all the way down in, pull it back out and then just hold it onto the paper towel just like you're seeing in this picture here. He's basically holding it so that he can view where that level is. And so there's kind of this shaded area on your dipstick, and that's going to tell you where the oil is and if it should be between this area and this area. And if it's below that area, you need to add more oil. You can also have too much oil put in. So you want to make sure that that oil level is at a normal place between those two areas. And on here, this picture is a little bit small, but you can see there's this kind of a gauge to look for between the two places that you want it to be at. And when you see after you had wiped it off that first time, you kind of dried it off. So now wherever it's wet again, where the oil has moistened that stick, that's what you're reading. You're looking for that line of where you dipped it to. So if it's low, if the oil's low, then you're going to need to add oil to it. So that's pretty simple, kind of straightforward. It's not a really hard project to do or anything, but you're going to do this for part of your homework, and you got to take a picture of yourself doing it. Okay, so take a picture, have mom or dad or brother or sister, somebody take a picture of you doing this particular activity. Oh, Simeon, you've already done it? Was it this semester? Because if you do it during this semester, you can get credit for it. Okay, if you've changed the oil during this semester, you can get extra credit. Oh, come on. So hopefully you need to do it again here, right? Just do it again. Your dad will be happy that you changed the oil again. Anytime during the semester. So in the next several weeks, if you change the oil, you get to have extra credit for changing the oil. So changing the oil is different than just checking the oil. Checking the oil is to see where your oil levels are. Changing the oil is actually taking the oil out that's currently in the vehicle and kind of giving it a chance to clean out, and then you're filling it up again with clean oil and ready to start all over. So you don't have to change your oil frequently, but you do need to check your oil frequently. Okay, does everybody understand the difference between checking and changing your oil? Mary Grace, just a picture of checking the oil. Checking the oil is the assignment. And that's what we did back here with just pulling the dipstick out. The dipstick and wiping it off and putting it back in, checking the oil level, that is your homework assignment. If you want extra credit, then you can do the changing the oil. And changing the oil is what we're going to talk about here next. All right, good deal. It can be, if you're changing the oil in like a tractor or maybe a four-wheeler or something like that, you can get credit for it too. That's fine. Let's see. And changing in your motorcycle, hey, Reagan, you can get credit for it, buddy. See, those are important skills that not everybody knows. You don't realize just how valuable that skill is to have. There's a lot of adults that don't have any clue how to do what you're doing on a every other week basis. Isn't that cool? All right. Yeah, four-wheeler, go for it. It's the same idea. So once you get practice doing it like on a four-wheeler or, even on a like a lawnmower, if you're practicing on those things, you've got the basic idea of what you're looking for on a car too. Yes, and Esther, if you went along with them and observed and just said, ask the technician, the mechanic or whatever, can I watch you do this? And if he lets you watch it, then you can still get extra credit for watching someone do it too. If you have it on your own car and you're just watching your dad, let your dad put you to work a little bit and let you do some of it too. But if you're going to get it done at the shop or something, just ask if you can follow along and kind of shadow them and see how they're doing it. They usually love it when people watch them do that. That's cool, Emily. Sweet. Okay, so for changing the oil, I've got several steps here that you go through. There's lots of materials you need. You need to gather all of these things before you get started. Make sure you purchase the right type of oil and the right filter. You want to make sure that you have the right thing, and you can find that out in your owner's manual. It'll tell you exactly what you need. Worried about blowing it up? For checking the oil, you won't have any problem. You probably won't blow anything up. Allie, that's too funny. Okay, so for step 2, after you've got all your supplies together, you need to get under your car. And in order to do that, you need to either be able to jack that vehicle up or so some people have like a pit that they can drive over where you can kind of crawl down into the pit. We have that on the farm, but not everybody has that kind of shop that you can work in. So what you want to do is make sure that this car is on level ground. If you try to raise it up with risers like these up here or with a jack and you're not on level ground, you're in danger of that car coming down on you. And I have heard of people who have had, there have been deaths before because of people that just didn't put it on level ground, and that's not a good thing. Oh my goodness, Emily. See, and those are simple things that, sometimes you just don't click until later. But yeah, that's so true. Let's see. If you don't have a jack or a pit to work on, sometimes if you have, actually cars are usually have a built-in jack, sometimes where the tire is, and that can just be located in the back where your spare tire is. Usually it's right there. If you don't, you can purchase one too, but another thing for doing for checking your oil is just putting them on a riser like this. You put the front tires on a riser, and that way you can just drive up on there, and then you secure it with your parking brake and make sure that it's all in place. But you want to make sure that it's not that nothing's loose or just haphazard or slightly on. You want to just make sure everything is very secure. And then you block the rear wheel with one of these kind of blocks or with like a brick or something heavy duty that'll keep it from rolling backwards. Let's see. Yes, true, Emily. Yeah, the hand jacks, we'll actually watch a video of how to do that when we do our tire changing. It shows you how to do that, and it shows you how to manually do that. You can do it. It takes a good amount of time, but it can be done. Okay, then the number 3 thing you do, once your vehicle is jacked up, it's higher so you can get underneath it, you want to start the engine and allow it to warm up for a couple minutes. The reason for that is that oil it's just like when you're cooking any kind of oil, like butter is kind of hard when it's cold, but it's melted when it's hot. It's the same kind of thing with oil. It's a little thicker when it's cool, so you want it to be thin enough that it's draining out of that oil pan completely. And so you start the engine just to warm it up, get that oil kind of warm, because when you drain it, that's going to be, it's going to clean out a lot better. And then you're going to make sure that it's not super hot. So just a few minutes is enough. Don't change it when it's really hot. Like if you've been on a long drive and you come home and you try to change your oil, that would not be good. You don't want to change it while that oil is hot. Just warmed up is all. Then locate the oil cap under the hood, right up here, and you want to remove that cap. The reason for that is underneath your car, you're going to be opening up the pan down there, but it's got to have a flow. It's got to have a vent of some kind. So you have to release the pressure up there to let the air help it drain better. It's not going to drain as well if that top cap is still on. You're going to turn your car off. Yeah, so you start the engine, allow it to warm up for a couple minutes, and then turn it off. Okay, and then step number four is you get under the car. Sometimes people have those little dolly things that you can lay on, and they've got wheels, and you can kind of slide in and out a little faster. That's kind of nice, but not everybody has that. So something you can do, I know my dad used to do this. He'd get a big piece of cardboard, and he'd just lay that out and lay down on the cardboard. So he wasn't on the ground, on the gravel, or on the garage floor or whatever. He could lay on the cardboard, and it was relatively clean. Then he, or whoever's underneath it, then locates that oil pan and the drain plug. And the oil pan looks something like this. This is obviously a clean version. You might want to take paper towels down underneath there just to wipe it and see what you're working with. And then, of course, know your owner's manual, too, to know where it's located. Yeah, I already answered that. You turn your car off. Definitely turn your car off. And then your drain plug there, you locate where those are. Make sure you know where they are. And don't just unplug that drain plug right away, or you will have oil everywhere. You want to be prepared. So you're first kind of looking to see where it is and locating it. Then you're going to put your bucket. You've got to have some kind of bucket, something that catches it. Put it underneath that, and then make sure that you use a wrench to remove the drain plug, but don't drop it in that oil, because as soon as that's off, if you drop it in the oil, now you got to go fishing for it. So make sure you keep your hand on that little nut there. You want to make sure that that's not getting lost in there. And then that oil is going to come out instantly. Okay, so you want to be prepared, be ready. Sometimes it's a little bit drippy and gross and it can get everywhere. So be prepared, have your bucket ready, and it'll start draining at that point. Definitely, Simeon, you know this from experience, I can tell. Allow all the oil to drain. Drain it completely. Don't let any of it be dripping anymore. Let it completely be drained out. Then remove the old gasket from the drain plug. Some people do this, some people don't. I think that if you have a used one that's like way overused, replace it. But on that bolt that you just took out, there's these little gaskets, and that's to keep it from dripping out. The gasket actually seals it up. So every now and then you might have to replace that gasket. Then put the drain plug back on the oil pan and tighten it back up, because you just emptied it out completely. And so you want to just put that drain back on, screw it in, screw that gasket back on there, make sure that that's all back in place. And then you're not done yet. You might have emptied out the pan, but you're not done yet. I know, Michaela and Isabella, Ariana, that's me. I would be the one that would drop it in there. The next thing you have to do is change the oil filter. And this is what's filtering your oil, keeping it from getting clogged up with all kinds of gross stuff so that it can actually have a longer life for your car. So you have to locate the oil filter, and every model is different, but it's going to be somewhere close to the engine, because you've got engine oil that you just changed. Now you're changing the engine filter. So it's usually on the side, front, or back of the engine. Just locate it. It looks like a little can that you screw in. You won't be driving your car without oil. It won't work without oil, pretty much. Yeah, and if you, for some reason, try to start it up, whatever you've got in there, it would just shut your engine down, like almost instantly without oil. Yeah. You remove the old filter by turning it counterclockwise, and then you might have to have, there's the special tool that you can use to remove the oil filter. If it's like almost frozen on there, you can use this tool. Usually just with your elbow grease you can get that done. This is going to be the messy part, because that filter has oil still in it, that old nasty oil. So when you pull that out, it's probably going to drain some. So you want to make sure that you are prepared again. And you wear gloves or whatever to make sure you don't get it all over yourself, because it's kind of gross, unless you enjoy that kind of thing. If you like to get dirty, you're fine. Make sure you have paper towels and rags. Yeah, because you will. This is the part that you get dirty. Okay, and then you prepare the new filter, and you can lubricate the gasket that's at the top. When you go to buy your oil, and we showed you at that first picture where you're gathering your supplies, when you go to buy your oil, you get this filter. You get the filter that works for your vehicle, and it just looks like a can is all. But you want to add just a little bit of oil to the top of that filter, and then just to lubricate it a little bit to make a good seal. And then add a little bit of oil to the filter. You can just take this canister of oil, just pour a little bit in there to kind of give it a jump start, really. Then you're going to take that new filter, and then you're going to go back underneath your vehicle and make sure you don't cross the threads. You want to make sure that you're completely threaded in right, because you know how, like, when you put a lid on a jar and you don't quite have it on right, how it's kind of cockeyed a little bit. Well, sometimes they say to go back a quarter turn until it kind of sits and then screw it on tight. The same is true for this. You want to just make sure those threads are right together, that you're threading it on right and it's sealed properly, because if it's not, you're going to have an oil leak. It's going to be a mess. So make sure that you get that screwed on the right way. And then follow the filters box for instructions. Anything else that it says you need to do or whatever, you can follow on the actual filter. It comes in a box, and that'll tell you more information too. Let's see. Any questions so far? How are you guys with changing the oil? You're going to be old pros. Okay, so now what you've done, basically up to this point, you have emptied out your oil, the oil pan completely of oil. There's no oil in your vehicle. You've changed the filter so it's got a clean filter. You've basically got everything ready for the new oil. So now you're done underneath. You're going to go back up, and under the hood of the car, you're going to look to see, make sure you have the right amount of oil that your engine needs. So you need to make sure you've got your owner's manual telling you how much oil you're supposed to put in, and then you put that amount of oil in your engine. So you can use like a funnel like this. That makes it so much easier, so you don't have a big old spill. And of course, make sure you have the right kind of oil, for sure. You add it at the fill hole. Use a clean funnel that keeps you from spilling the oil. If you spill oil out here on the engine, it's not the end of the world, but it's going to smell like burning oil when you do run your car. So it just is nasty. So make sure that you try your best to not spill oil on the engine or in the vehicle or anywhere under the hood. Check under the car for any leaks. So after you've done all this, you can tell if there's going to be a leak, it's going to start dripping. So this is your chance to fix that problem. So what you would do is after you fill it up, you go back underneath and check to see if anything's dripping. Olga, where are you? A car garage. Romania. Oh, I'm so glad you joined us. I know it's late for you. Wow. Well, that's so cool. Fun. Okay, so tell me, in Romania, how cold does it get in Romania? Because this is actually very interesting. I have some friends that live, I want to say, closer to Russia, and it gets so cold over there, they actually will try to do things to keep their cars warm underneath, like even lighting a little campfire and putting hot coals under their vehicle to keep it from freezing, which is kind of bizarre to me, but I've heard of those stories. Yeah, is that true? I'm curious. Pretty cold and then extremely hot. Interesting. Well, Olga, I'm so glad you came. This is great. Okay, if you did find any leaks under there, then you're going to have to troubleshoot and figure out, did you get that filter on right? Did you get the pan nut screwed on right? Did you get all those things adjusted where they need to be? That's pretty important. And then you'll run the engine. Before you even take it off the box, you're going to run the engine, turn it on for a couple minutes to get that oil moving, and then check again and see if there's any leaks after you've got the oil moving. Okay, this is how you finish. Okay, this is how you're finishing getting your oil changed. You want to check for any tools that you left under the car, Anything else that you've got laying around, make sure that you don't leave anything where it shouldn't be. Even if, under your hood, sometimes you just put something down, you might forget and just slam your hood down and you've got, paper towels in there or something else. You want to make sure that nothing is where it doesn't belong. Then check your oil levels on the dipstick again. So you'll pull it out, wipe it off, put it back in, and then pull it out and check it again. And make sure after it's rested 5 or 10 minutes, then you can see if it's in the right place. Okay? It does sound complicated, and that's why it's one of those things you don't do often, which is kind of nice that you don't have to, unless you're driving like a ton, you're gonna just do it every so often. You don't have to do it all the time. The only thing that is really nice about changing the oil yourself is that you save yourself a good amount of money and time, because going in, sometimes when you take them in, you have to wait for a long period of time for them to finish changing your oil and getting it done, and you have to take the money it takes to take care of that, and sometimes you put it off because you're so busy, you forget about it, whatever. When you're doing it yourself, it's actually, it gets easier every time, and so it's not going to be that difficult to get it done, and it can be done in your timing, and you can kind of keep a handle on things, plus you're saving some money. If all your levels then are good and ready to go, then close your hood. If not, add the oil that you need or whatever. Then you'll drive off of your ramps. Make sure you move those back blocks from your rear tires, and then drive off or lower your jack, however you've got it jacked up, and then reset the oil change light. That's important. Otherwise, you're just going to constantly be reminded that you have to change the oil, and you're like, I just did. And be sure to write the mileage of where you're at, because you need to change your oil according to your owner's manual's like instructions of how many miles you need to change, every 1,000 miles or whatever it is. So it depends on that car model, and then usually your owner's manual will tell you how to reset that. Okay. Michaela, that's funny. Yes, it does take a little bit of experience. After you've done it a couple of times, you actually do feel pretty good about it. Some of you guys, this class has a lot more people that are familiar with this than my last class. How many of you who have changed the oil would say that it gets easier every time you've done it? For Emily, Bowie, okay. It's like you're just kind of used to it. Simeon, yeah. And Reagan, I know you've done in your motorcycle, which probably for you that's not so very difficult either. But yeah, it's like, you become old hat at it pretty much. Oh, that's funny, Michaela. Okay, there is one more thing that you need to know about this. You have to have the disposal of the waste oil, and that's pretty important. Some people will just go throw it in their, driveway or the trash can or the ditch or something, and that's not good. You want to make sure that you have it in a closed container and you take it to a designated collection site. And you can find that out. Even, your local community might have a place that you can dump that waste oil. The auto parts store, sometimes they'll take the waste oil, or they'll at least tell you where you can dump it off. And that's pretty important to make sure that gets put in the right place. You don't want waste oil to be in places, that can get in your drinking water or whatever. That would be nasty. This is true, Reagan. It's kind of one of those, I don't want to do this job, but it's not that hard. It's not like it's the end of the world. True. The building behind the wall, I have no idea. It's just a picture I snagged, so I have no idea. It looks like something cool under there, or back behind there, doesn't it? Cool deal. Okay, so I'm going to show you this video. It's a little bit lengthy. And, it was meant to be a educational video, so take it for what it's worth. Yeah, you'll understand. All right, it is 7 minutes long, so, just take it or leave it. It'll be, it's good. It goes over what we've done, and it shows you just a little bit of video. A little bit of a warning. The data is a little bit corny in this, so just take it for what it's worth.
My old buddy Robbie's been changing his own oil in his car since he bought his first car back in high school. Robbie, how you doing? Good to see you.
How you doing?
Hey, Nick. Well, he thought it was about time that he showed Nick just how simple it can be to change your own oil and your own oil filter.
You know, Dad said it should only take about 30 minutes to change my oil.
If you don't get too many texts and tweets.
Okay, guys, you take care of business with the car. I'm going to walk through the process over here. Now, Robbie's been doing this for a long time, so he has all of the equipment he's going to need to help Nick out on this job. So let's look at those things right now. Well, first of all, we've got an oil filter wrench set, a catch and recycle oil pan, need a funnel, good collection of clean rags, very important, safety goggles or glasses, set of work gloves, good idea to have hand cleaner nearby, and the right amount of oil and, of course, the right type of oil. But most importantly, the Platinum Napa filter. This is the right filter for this job. Now, at this point, it looks as though Nick has checked his owner's manual to make sure he has the right type, weight, and number of quarts of oil that he's going to need. Now, since warm oil drains faster than cold, Nick needs to run the engine just for a few minutes to make sure it warms up. Never ever change the oil in an engine when it's at full operating temperature because it's going to be way too hot. All right, we've let the car run for a few minutes. It is warmed up. Nick is going to check his owner's manual to locate the car's oil drain plug. The car is turned off. The key is removed. He has applied the parking brake and placed chucks behind the rear wheels for safety. But before getting started, Nick also needs to remember to put on his safety glasses and his gloves. The oil drain plug is usually located near the front center of the engine, but some vehicles do have more than one plug. He's locating the plug, and Nick is going to put the drain pan right underneath. The oil is going to drain at an angle, so he makes sure to position that right in the right position to catch that oil. You should also make sure the drain pan is large enough to hold whatever amount of oil your car requires. Next, Nick loosens the plug with a socket wrench so he can unscrew it by hand. Now, as the oil drains into the pan, Nick checks his service manual to find the location of his filler cap on top of the engine. Removing the filler cap makes the draining process faster because air can enter from the top. Once all the oil is drained, he replaces and tightens the oil plug by hand, making sure it's not cross-threaded. Once the plug seems tight, you can finish tightening it with a wrench. Always use a new drain plug gasket and never over-tighten the drain plug. Even though Nick has drained the old oil, he knows that the old oil filter could still have some hot oil inside the canister, so he's very careful to remove the filter. Robbie reminds Nick to clean the mounting surface on the engine and checks to make sure the gasket from the old filter is not stuck to it. Before installing the new Platinum Napa oil filter, Nick lightly coats its rubber seal with fresh oil. He checks to make sure the seal is properly seated in the filter, then screws the filter on by hand. It's usually not necessary to tighten the oil filter with a wrench, but check the filter's instructions to be sure. Now Nick can remove the chucks and back off the ramps. Now that Nick's installed the new Platinum Napa oil filter, it's time to pour in the new synthetic oil. Robbie gives Nick a clean funnel to make sure he doesn't add any dirt when he pours in the new oil. Make sure you only add the amount of oil specified in your vehicle's service manual. And after pouring in the oil, don't forget to replace the oil cap on the engine. Now that he's changed his oil and oil filter, Nick cranks his car and runs the engine for a few minutes. Robbie and Nick check the area around the oil drain plug and the filter to make sure there are no leaks. If you see a leak, you should cut off the engine and correct it. Seeing no leaks, Nick shuts off the engine and lets it rest for a minute or two to give the new oil time to drain down. To make sure he's put in enough oil, Nick removes the dipstick, wipes it off, replaces it, then removes it again to see if it's up to the full mark.
Looks good to me.
Looks like the right amount of oil was used, and all is good.
Good job, Nick. Now you know how to change your oil.
You're right, Dad. That was pretty easy.
Now you can check your texts and tweets or whatever you do with that thing.
When you change your oil, always remember to dispose of the old oil and oil filter at an authorized center.
Dad, shouldn't we check to see if the air filter and the cabin air filter need changing?
Well, you're just a chip off the old block.
Looks like it. I'm impressed. Hey, you guys know it's going to end up on YouTube.
It can go viral.
Do I need a shot?
When you change one filter, take the opportunity to check all your vehicle's filters. You'll be glad you did.
Here are a few more tips. Check your owner's service manual to see how much oil to buy and what weight and viscosity you need. You will also want to know the year, make, model, and mileage of your vehicle when you go into your Napa Auto Parts store to buy your oil and filters. Note that some vehicles use remote-mounted oil filters that may be on top or on the side of the engine. Also, check your owner's service manual before working on a specialty vehicle to see if there are any other things you should do to stay safe. For example, some hybrid vehicles have auto starts, so removing the key from the ignition, that's a must. Always record the date and mileage every time you change your oil, so you'll know when your car or truck is due for another oil change. Always handle hot motor oil with extreme caution and wear gloves to keep your hands protected and clean. And remember, if you don't have time or you're not inclined to change your own oil, you can always take your vehicle to your local Napa Auto Care Center. They'll be happy to do it for you.
Napa Filters. All you need to know.
All right, make sure you get through. Some of you guys are at a different time in the video than me because it's a long one. Just give me a green check if you're done. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. This video can, I think it's on the class page. If not, you can check it out here in the recording again. Yeah, sometimes you get service, and a lot of times the Napa service or whatever, those kind of places can be different depending on who your management is. You know, just go to a different location or whatever, you might find completely different service. All right. Okay, so for your homework, let me get my webcam going. All right, for your week 11 assignments, you're going to do this car maintenance checklist. And it's basically a worksheet that has you find all these parts of your vehicle, answer some questions, and then check your oil. You're just going to check it, but you want to take a picture of yourself checking it. Okay, that's the best way for me to know that you did it. You check it, and then have a picture of, you know, mom or dad or brother, sister, somebody take a picture of you checking the oil. Okay, that was weird. Our internet just dropped out. Sorry, guys. Okay. So you should be able to see me now, maybe. That was weird. We have some major rain going on, some storms. So yeah, we lost power. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully my slides will come back up. I don't know if you guys are seeing anything. It looks blank to me. Looks like it's trying. Anyway, for your homework, we are doing the car maintenance. You're just going to do that checklist and check out that. Make sure that you've got everything found on your list. Once you see the sheet, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Take a picture of yourself doing checking the oil. Some of you guys, it's going to be like, oh, you're so used to that. It's not a big deal. But just have somebody take a picture of you doing it so you can get credit for it. And then you're also going to do your family meal and your laundry. So if you guys have any questions about homework or anything, let me know. All right. Let me see here. I know they didn't save my name. All right. Okay, I'm making sure. Did anybody have any questions? If you had any questions at all, let me know. I want to help you guys out with any questions you have. If for some reason, like say in the grade book, it'll say 0. If you didn't hand it in, I'll put in a 0. But if you hand it in late, then I will go back and actually change your grade. So it's better if you just hand it in. If you hand it in, you'll actually get credit. If you don't hand it in, it stays at a 0, but if you hand it in late, it's much better than leaving it as not handed in. So definitely hand in any late homework that you have, any weeks that you missed. You can even go to the grade book and just check over your grades and see if there's any spots that you might have missed handing something in on accident. Because I don't want anybody to like accidentally forget to hand something in and just not get credit. So make sure that you have everything up to date. And of course, when we get to the end of the semester, you'll be glad that you took care of it now instead of like at the last minute when you've got like, oh my goodness, I've got 4 assignments that I got to finish this week. That's the kind of thing you want to avoid. So yeah, less stress for you for sure. All right, that's it, you guys. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Next week, hopefully, will be normal. We'll have normal everything, normal timing for everything. So we'll see you guys. Take care.